Welcome everyone, good morning. Another week in a new house. I did move, so that's pretty exciting. We've been so busy with unpacking everything. So I'm in the new office, but there's nothing in here. So,
Welcome everyone. Good
oops.
morning.
Okay,
Week.
hold on. Let me mute that. So the sound is not going to be perfect. If you're here for the first time, I'm D. I've been trading for 18 years, mainly specializing in some of the more alternative products. But here's the deal. My main computer, did not make it. So at the moment, the reason why everything looks a bit different and I don't have my big microphone in front of me is because everything just broke down on me. So I'm working with a laptop, so I have Asus Duo, which has 2 screens, and I've hooked up another big screen. I have Bruno on my phone, so it's a big phone. It's one of those Z Fold things. So we'll make this work. We'll make this work. Not the most perfect situation, but you know, it is what it is, so it's fine. We love it here. The dogs love it here. It's a beautiful place. It's like paradise. So this has been a long time coming for us. We've been planning this move for about 5 years. And if you followed me on my other channel, I've been talking about it for so long. And yeah, it's finally happened. We're here, and it's actually even better than we could ever imagine. So incredibly happy. All right, let's have a look at what's going on. I didn't actually trade since Thursday, so obviously the Friday was the big move. Then we had the weekend and everything went wrong with the computer. But at the moment, I do have a couple of strong levels on copper, actually. So we have the average session range low, and I do apologize, I didn't put all of my markers on Topstep, but just to get it make sense a little bit more, average session range for London is somewhere, let's make that thicker, somewhere around here, right? So, and by the way, right now we set up in one of the smaller rooms because the dogs are barking at cows, so it's going to take a while for them to get used to it. Now let me just mark the initial balance. That was from here. Oops. And again, laptop, so do bear with. Oh, no, that is not what I wanted. Why is that a drawing tool? Okay. What am I looking for? I'm looking for a rectangle. Yeah. Yeah. This needs to be deleted because it's a random line. Let's delete that as well. And I do use this laptop whenever I travel to see my mom, so it's not like completely fish out of water. Okay, so this is what we're working with, and let's change that to kind of red, because I like my initial balances to be red. It's a red box. It's something that I think CTST4 had back in the day, and I'm just used to those colors. Right, so we have a put support level at 460. 460 has been a pivotal area for the last sort of 2 weeks. Every time we get to it, we either bounce from it or it acts as an accelerator. So given the fact that I have the average session low right around the same area, let's make that yellow. Ooh, no, not that. Okay, text yellow D. There we go. Okay, so that should be a bit more visible. And the fact that, yes, we did accept value high, which was located at, what is that, 463.70. So somewhere in this region. These 2 strong levels could mean a failed auction. Whenever I have a level inside the value area, so the camera is there, inside the value area, I will be very careful that that doesn't cause a partial acceptance. You know, you kind of extend a little bit and then you just start to go back the other way because it's a stronger level in general. So I'm going to still wait, but I am going to drop down to a 15-minute chart here. We did have an unclean arrival. If we just analyze the structure in a very basic way, where do we come from? There is space, right? There is space for this to fall all the way down to sort of 452.45, maybe even the originating demand, which is 449.45. But for now, that's not exactly happening. So Jason wants to know, how do I like the cows? I love them. They're so cute. They're very chill. And obviously our dogs are a little bit reactive, some of them. But yesterday I took one of our more reactive dogs, Seven. She's a female. And I held her. There's like a double fence, so the cows can't quite come up to our backyard that close. So there is like a couple of meters segregating them. But they do amble around and they come like really close to that fence, and you can really see them. You can see their expressions. That was so funny. And one of them was looking at the dog, and I think they're just bored because they have the same thing over and over. So now I think the cows have something new to look at. So they've been coming up to the fence. You know, on Saturday we actually had my husband's sister stay over, and we played some tunes, and we have these like big, massive quadruple doors that look out onto the patio and the rest of the garden and the field. So naturally the cows were like, what's happening here? What's going on? And one of them was like making eye contact with Seven. So it was very funny. And then Seven kind of tried barking and she went, "Burp," and the cow went, like shook her ears going, that's a bit loud. And then this morning at 6 a.m., they said the same cow was making noises. I think she was calling for Seven. It's like, where's my friend? What's happening? So yeah, it's amazing. I see Jerome D is there. He says, let's go. Congratulations. Thank you. Ken the Traveler says, okay, got to ask you, do you feel a tiny bit of FOMO today? No, I don't suffer from FOMO. I don't have that whole thing of, I must trade every single day. Like, I trade to have a, better life, to have, extra money for extra trinkets and stuff. And if I miss a few days, I absolutely have no problem with it. I've been doing this for 18 years. And one thing that I've learned is that there's always movement, right? There is always movement. There is always a trade there waiting for you, and FOMOing for absolutely no reason. That's something that you need to sort out for yourself. That has nothing to do with the markets. And this is one of the only industries where people would ask you that, oh, did you miss working? It's like, you shouldn't define your identity as like, oh, yeah, I'm a day trader. It is something that we all enjoy, but it shouldn't be the first thing on your mind, like sort of when you wake up, unless you're still learning. When I was still learning, I was obsessed. I didn't do weekends. I spent all of my weekends back testing, forward testing, replaying things, trying to see how the market played out some of my setups to basically gain as much experience as possible. Once that happened over I would say about 9-10 years, you've practically seen most of the things. You've seen the markets dry up, you've seen high volatility, you've seen medium normal volatility, you've seen all of it happen. And you learn that the markets will be here, okay? The markets will be here not just now or, Friday or Thursday. They carry opportunity nearly every single day, and if not maybe in that session, they will carry the opportunity in the next session. Now, I personally trade through 2 sessions, London and New York, and I typically skip Asia, right? Now, I see there was some excellent movement, but do I feel FOMO? Absolutely not. And if you do, I don't know, maybe we can ask Jerome what to do if you feel FOMO for missing a day or something, because that's not normal. To me, that would be like maybe a sign of a compulsive behavior. And I know that Jerome said to us very nicely that trading is not gambling, but it can lead to gambling behaviors. That was very well put. So, I'm so happy we have Jerome to explain these things to us. Okay, let's see if I can make this somehow more readable. Yeah. So yeah, no FOMO. I'm just so happy. And another thing about this place is that we have a private dog field number 1, 2 minutes down the road. And then we have the new dog, which will be the new doggy daycare, so I have to enroll them. But they also have a private woodland area for hire, also fully secure. 6 minutes down the road. It's like, so for us and for our lifestyle and for our 8 crazy dogs, this is finally our dream home. I don't know if I'm ever moving, guys. Ask me again in 10 years. Ask me again in 10 years. But this could be forever home. I don't know. We'll see. So yeah. But yeah, even though I'm absolutely exhausted, I'm so tired. We've done so much stuff here, and then on Saturday, we realized my computer wasn't working, so it's like, whatever. And my husband was like, "Oh my God, what are you gonna do?" And I said, "Nothing. I'm just gonna get the laptop out, try and make that work. I've done it from my mom's place. Right when I'm traveling, I have a whole travel setup. Might not be perfect, but it'll be workable. So now I've got to say, if Elon Musk didn't give us Starlink, this place wouldn't be possible for us, because the internet is actually coverage for the mobiles and everything is just non-existent. Like, I had to change my phone to Wi-Fi calling because in most areas of the house I have no reception whatsoever. I do have some reception, which is not bad, down the end of the property and the end of the garden as you get closer to the cows. But yeah, inside the house, just forget it. So what we did, we got Starlink, so we got the HP, so we got the business version. And yes, it's a cost, but this is my life, right? So this is what I do, and we both have to have internet. All of our businesses are heavily based on internet, so we got the high performance, so that's an enterprise version, and it's brilliant. It's like, we got 240 down and about 24 upload, which is, not too far from what I had in London on fiber optic connection. So, yeah, it's all working out. But yeah, without Starlink, I would not be able to live here. So take that as you will. So yeah. All right. Jerome, here we go. Jerome says, if you feel, let me just put this down a little bit. Whoops. No, that's not what I wanted. I just changed the screen. Okay, we're going to have a few teething problems here because of this setup. So I'm just going to move the YouTube chat up there again. What happened? Okay, it's fine. And chat. Yeah, so Jerome says, if you don't feel you're going to miss something yet, you feel calm and present, not really feeling the urge to put a trade on, you feel you can catch a part of the trade, then focus on breathing. Jerome also says, feeling FOMO today is completely normal for me, but if you absolutely feel the need to trade today because you feel you're going to miss something, then I advise to stay on the sidelines. Jerome also says, trying to catch the best possible setup, A+, and okay, and take your shot. Reward your patience and discipline and align yourself with a decision you will make, whatever it is, and its consequences. So yeah. Jerome also says, that's how I would process days like these. And you see, Jerome could probably talk to you about FOMO more because, he's basically been trading for 2 years, right? And he's doing amazingly well, primarily because he's got some transferable skills that he was able to apply to his trading immediately. And he says it is also Monday. Do you want to start the week with a FOMO? An emotion-induced loss. Don't think so. Patience pays off. Yeah. So in the VIP sessions, I introduced the concept as a bell curve of trading activity, depending on where you are in the week and where you are in the month, just to kind of try and illustrate more how your trading activity should go. What we see a lot is that when people are like super excited to trade, they come to trade on Monday, and then they literally in the first 5 minutes they dig a massive hole for themselves because of that urge. They're not looking for a good setup, they just want to trade. I look for understanding, whether it's Friday or Monday or Wednesday. I want to understand first what's happening, and we've had some moves for Asia, But right now, I don't actually have a full understanding of what they're trying to do here. So also volume keeps dropping off. So if I was going to do a failed auction long here, I really want to see this volume on a 15-minute chart go up. But what do? We open London, smash back down with quite a lot of volume to the downside. But the upside is not following. You know, there is this little blue line. Don't know how much you can see that on the screen, but if I maybe make it bigger and move it all the way to the right so that I'm not covering it. No, I still can't quite, but you should be able to see it. This line is a moving average of the volume, right? So when we're underneath that, that's actually low volume. And if this is going to be a true failed auction, they don't look like that, okay? They look like the volume increases, and that's what brings the full rotation through. Without that, you might end up in a partial rotation situation where it is a failed auction, but it's slow. So that's not a true failed auction. I actually distinguish between true failed auctions that have volume behind them upon the reversal and the ones that are a bit iffy and they're just like, well, we sort of migrated back into initial balance and now we're not sure where we're going to go. So there is also GEX1 level, which I didn't plot on there again because this is like laptop stuff. At 465. So if we are not able to, if we're not able to break 465, and if we sort of go higher and then sort of amble around there, maybe even, you know, sometimes they like to go slightly over it and then they kind of bleed below it. It would be very obvious whether GEX1 is giving way, so whether we're truly going into that sustained auction or not. I would also prefer, so there's a couple of conflicting things here, which is why I'm not, I'm not going to be on my accounts that matter because, like I said, I'm settling in, I've got a new computer to buy and a whole bunch of stuff. And this is not my regular setup. So I'm feeling a bit fish out of water. New environment, you know, new everything. Keep getting into the wrong rooms as well because, you know, it's a decently big place. So I try and go into one room, then I get lost. So, you know, my headspace is a little bit weird at the moment. I'm happy, but I'm also very aware that I'm riding this huge dopamine rush of moving to a beautiful place. And I'm very careful that to not have that transfer into my trading by doing stupid things, right? And that's why I'm going to force myself to stay on a combine. And if I do mess it up, at least it will be in a combine, you know. But I will recognize that the reason why I'm not being super diligent about the setups is nothing related to trading, but everything to do with what's going on in my life away from trading. So that's why I'm going to wait. When the trade becomes obvious, it will be obvious, right? So let's see what happens at GEX1 and at VWAP, because I also don't like the fact that we have VWAP right in the way. We have also had the value acceptance. And I said that was at I think it was 464. 90 or something, I don't know. So it's somewhere, yeah, 464. Let's put it 464. It's kind of in and around that area. So we had a value acceptance, no follow through, and then a failed auction long. So I'm like, what is this? And here's the thing about hypos. When you have multiple hypos, you will never feel like you're missing out. If this is a true momentum trade back up, it will become obvious. There will be a way to get in on that, to get a portion of the trend. If it's a range bound day, and if we end up smacking into VWAP and GEX1, and then we start to chop around, that's a range that we can play, right? If it's a failed auction, it would look a bit different, so I would say no. But if it's a value acceptance, again, fourth hypo, right? If it's a value acceptance, we might smack into VWAP, then go below GEX1 and into a full rotation down for a slightly slower start to the sustained auction down, which is a completely different setup. So I have about 4 different options, both longs and shorts, and therefore I never feel like I'm missing out. There's always a hypo that I can run based on what I'm seeing. This is why I have 4 different parts of different concepts that give me a pretty good idea of what is happening on the day, right? That doesn't mean that I never lose. Of course I do, like everybody does. But I don't feel that, oh my God, if I miss this one trade, then what, right? I'd stopped feeling like that probably about 7-8 years ago. And that's because of the multitude of concepts, 4 of them, that I lean on for situational awareness. What situational awareness? It's basically knowing what they're trying to do and never going, oh my God, what happened? So yeah. T3 Tom says D's got to skip in a step winning. Yeah, my mom said the same thing. So we had a chat once we got the Starlink up and running, and she said, yeah, you're just like, you haven't stopped smiling. Usually I'm like a little bit miserable and it's like I'm always in pain and stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'm here now, and I don't know, it's just like, yeah, it's dopamine, right? It makes you feel good. You got your dream home, it's massive, it's beautiful, it's, better than we imagined. Because here's the thing, when we came to visit, the previous owners who actually live right next door, they have 2 houses, they're our only neighbors, right? And they're really nice people. So we came here to see the second viewing, but really the surveyor was here. So we just kind of wanted to take some measurements for the new trinkets and furniture and stuff. And we got to meet them for 2 hours. We were chatting with them. They were just absolutely amazing. So they lived here and they had so much stuff in here. They had things on the walls and stuff. And we're not that keen on like wall mounted shelves and stuff. I think they just clutter up the space. So when it was all cleared out and we got all of our stuff in here, we didn't even make a dent in the place. It still looks big and open. And I'm just wondering, because we lived in this very small place, the place in London was actually more expensive than this one, bizarrely. It's just like mind-blowing. Because London is incredibly expensive. And over there, you constantly feel like constricted. You constantly feel like you don't have enough space. And I just wonder how much that affects the mindset. And I'm going to get all like spiritual and philosophical now. In Judaism, you have a concept of klipot, which is basically kind of like self-limiting beliefs. That's what they are. But they say that there are spiritual blockages where you are unable to access the divine. Now, D is going all hippie on you, right? So apologies if you're not into that. I'm not that much into it, but I can kind of see where it came from. And when you're thinking about your space and your spiritual environment, including friends that don't really serve a good purpose for what you're trying to achieve in life, that's one side of things. But the actual energy of the places that you're living in, how does that affect you? Are you annoyed with things? And, in London, everybody lives like sardines. We all live in tiny places. And, if you want to live in a house of this sort, you would have to cough up like 11 to 15 million to live in a safe area, to live in a, 4-bedroom house with 4 bathrooms and massive garden. Not many people have that ability, But maybe just arranging the furniture to not block extra energy, like, look at Feng Shui or something. And and ask yourself, how much does your actual environment impact your mindset? Because I'm telling you guys, since I stepped in here, it's kind of like a huge burden has been kind of lifted off of me. I just don't know how to explain it, but yeah. All right, let's have a look at some questions. Silo wants to know, do you get GEX levels from Topstep? Not yet. Now, I know that they are working on the API access. I haven't been keeping in touch with Robert. He would know when that's coming. But I know Michael Patak said it might be coming this Monday. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. Okay, I'm just the on-air personality. So I don't, I'm not a part of an IT team, and I'm not privy to the exact schedules. But once that comes, I can totally see MentorQ getting their indicator into into Topstep. But for now, so here's what I do. I can show you. Oh, if I can get my mouse over. So I have my trading view here with the mental Q indicator. And then I go into their query bot every morning to drag out these levels, right? To actually make them appear. And then I will mostly use the strongest levels. So I'm not going to be going from like GEX 1 to 10, but I want to know where things like put support, call resistances, gamma walls, GEX 1, 2, and 3 as like the main levels that I look for, where they're located, and then I match them with my value areas, exhaustion areas, which is the ADR, ASR, initial balance, how we're behaving there, and whether we're breaking through the GEX levels or not. If you come up against the GEX level, it breaks and then we bleed back down. I look at the composition of the candle and I look at tape as well. Are we getting some sellers there? Are we getting more buyers? What is happening? And you can actually kind of see that happening right now. Again, I don't know whether I'm going to trade today. Right now, I just woke up and we had a massive 3-day effort to get everything sort of set up. And I'm honestly not feeling in, completely clear head. Like I said, I'm like floating in a rush of dopamine here, and I'm just going to be very, very careful. But I've got a combine that's, I got a 150K combine, and for this purpose, right? So if I have a terrible day, that's fine, but I still want to follow the process, right? I don't want to be going, oh yeah, let's go, click. But yeah, one hypo. Actually, let's put the hypos on the chart. And remember, this is London specific. There will be different references, initial balance and value areas for COMEX, which is not going to be the same. Might be similar, but the hypos might be a little bit flipped. I might even go a completely different direction because it's a different session, different players, different goals. But yeah, mental Q for now. Not yet in Topstep, nothing else is. So you just have their native indicators that the team has done for them. Once API access comes in, it all opens up, right? It all becomes possible. So first step would be, for me, obviously just looking at what's happening doesn't mean it's a stronger setup, but failed auction long might be in progress. Possibly in progress. Again, not super clear because we have some very dangerous levels on the way. Now, the second choice would be a setup that I like to refer to as weeb, weakness inside initial balance. What is it? In a nutshell, it's basically you're trying to extend initial balance, go back in, smash into a strong level, and you're unable to go higher, and therefore that offers us an opportunity of a slower, sustained auction that doesn't have to be, break or anything. You're basically entering on a pullback. And a lot of products can do this. YM likes to do longs from VWAP, which is like SEEB. So it tries to extend the initial balance, comes back inside it, hits VWAP, and then goes long from there. Sometimes overshoots it, then reclaims it. Again, that's all a part of trading. It's not an exact science. So that's why we look at how the price is behaving around levels. So weakness inside IB can also mean from Globex VWAP bounce, so short. Weakness automatically means short, but I'm still going to put it in here. Globex VWAP short. Or alternatively, GEX 1 short as well, because that's where we are at the moment. And if we can't break through it, that's your second reference area. Third option would be neutral day. So neutral day where we go all the way up, extend higher into both sides of the initial balance. So you have a double break of the initial balance. And at that point, range day rules apply. So I will be looking to maybe short the top and long the bottom, but it's very unlikely that those kind of setups are going to come in immediately when I want them to on the same day, at the same time when the neutral day appears. Sometimes you can snipe a short because we've already had the extension below. And then maybe if we get an extension higher, get a liquidity grab above that Asia high. So we do have another reference point at, what is this, 73 actually. It's pretty much there. So we would need to smash through 73.05 and then reverse. And also I have the average daily range high right above there at basically between 73 and 74.08, 74.10, let's put it. So that's the average daily range high. If we overshoot that and we go into some mad upside day, I call those asymmetrical trending days. It's kind of like a trend day that started off to the wrong side, created excess. It has to have one set of single prints on the other side, like we do today in the C period. And then it basically goes into a massive trending day. So that would be a possibility, maybe for later on, right? Neutral day phase from session, high, low, stop runs. So that's how I would wait for a stop run, then I pounce. And then I only look for the middle of the range. That's a scalp, Neutral days for me is mainly scalping. And then, like I said, this could extend, that's a variation, could extend into a trend up, right? So it starts as a failed auction, goes to the top of the initial balance, smashes through it, decides a little bit what it's going to do, and then shoots up. That is an outlier, right? We don't get those sort of days very often. So just keep that in mind. They do happen, so I want to have it as an option sometimes, especially with copper, sometimes doing that, maybe more often than other products. Let's say when I'm looking at equities, they tend to do asymmetrical neutral days on about 8% of the days, right? Whereas copper, probably about 12. So we'll see. And then the final one would be sort of an extension of this weeb. So I would still classify it as a weeb, but into a value acceptance short for a continued rotation through the value area, right? Okay. So let's put that down. So weeb extended into VA, value acceptance. Oops. There it is. So those are my 4 setups. You could argue that this one, so 2 and 4, are the same because they are using a similar outlook, maybe with different entry points, right? So you have weeb, which is inside value. If you don't catch that and it starts to go back into the value area below the initial balance, you can maybe do like a more of a breakout type trade. But for me, I think weeb is probably the highest probability trade here. I just need to sit and wait. Where can we put this? Where can we put this? There we go, like that. You can see that. So the first step for weeb would be that we cannot really break this little area between Globex VWAP and GEX1. So rough area for shorts, I would need to see shorts initiating here. Once I see what they want to do with GEX1, maybe we have the second hypo, okay? Silo has a second part of the question, which I didn't read. Could you explain how often GEX levels could be updated on commodities? Just once a day, okay? So right now, Mental Q only has the option to snapshot at the end of the day, the previous day. Now, look, on copper, we've had the same sort of levels with slightly varying weights that have been in force for like 2 weeks. 460 was a pivotal level on Thursday. It was a pivotal level on Wednesday. It was a pivotal level last week. So it's, those levels on commodities stay. They're not as speculative as some of the, NQs and some of the others of the world in equities land. So, sometimes with platinum, for example, you have the same level, like that 1,000 level. I don't know whether they reached it ever, but I know that I was looking at it for potential shorts, and it was just like, yeah, we still haven't reached it. And I've looked at it for like a month now, maybe even longer, 2 months. And I'm like, come on. So let's see. Did it ever touch? Yeah, so it finally touched 1,000 this morning, I think. and now it's going down. So maybe we'll have a platinum trade. That's like I've been literally waiting for that setup for like 2-3 weeks, and it was really, really sketchy, the whole thing. What do I want? I want CVOL. I don't know whether I'm logged in to CME. Probably not, but let's try it anyway. Because with platinum, I do like to see it above 29. Yeah, so I need to log in. Hold on. Let me try. What is platinum doing? Platinum. Metals, that's what I want. Okay, so let's have a look at platinum. If I can ever drag this over. Here it is. Ha! Platinum 28. So we still need a little bit more of a push. What does Hoke say? Everybody get out and push. So this volatility index needs to be a little higher. Yeah, go away. Little higher. 29, 30. 30 would be good. And then you get smoother movement in platinum. Yeah. So yeah, maybe not just yet. I'll keep that that idea going. V says, "Hey D, has Topstep VIP program closed, or is it still going on?" So the second season is done. We have offboarded the chats and everything related to the previous group. I do think that they have the VIP picked still for every member of the VIP who was a part of it. So everybody's still there, just not in their separate groups. We are now doing drafts for the next season of the VIPs. So it's not over. It's just beginning. We're actually trying to see how we can do it in a much more streamlined way. And they have a whole separate team. So absolutely amazing. They actually have a whole separate team that will be doing the VIP coaching. So definitely still going. We are in the process of drafting. Make sure to keep your eye on the broadcasts, because that is when they will be dropping the forms for you to sign up for the VIP. Pi wants to know, is this institutional hedging, ES up and copper down? So is it a risk on or risk off? That is the first step to ask yourself. Again, I'm probably not logged into Financial Juice, but I will use my phone for that. Because this screen moving is a little bit odd here, so it's annoying me. So let's see what we had. I know that there was some risk-related headlines. So let's have a look. Wasn't there some stuff about Russia, Ukraine? So you can have out of our sessions, let me just see what ES is actually looking like today and whether these moves actually relate to one another. Christ's sakes. There it is. Okay. Yeah, this is slightly annoying. Okay. Let's have a look. I don't think they're no, I don't think they're correlated at all, and I'll tell you why. This is not specific to, this is not what risk off or on looks like. So this would be maybe risk on, but here's the thing. Both of them went up at the open, right? So let's see. Where's Globex open? Here we go. So Globex open, what do we have? Gap up, right? Copper, what do we have? Gap up. Is that correlated negatively? It's not what negative correlation looked like last time I was looking at them. And since, so here's the thing, when you have, where's my Discord gone? Here it is. Here's the thing, when you have the whole risk on, risk off, because the flows from equity into commodities is happening at the same time, they will have pretty much mirror image of each other, right? One will be going up, the other one will be going down, and therefore the candles should be fairly similar. And if we go to a bigger chart, let's say 1 hour chart, do you see that kind of correlation? So here we go. What do we have? Gap up, then sell off, and then zombie rally all the way through. What do we have in copper? Gap up, stop run, slight pullback, which this one didn't have, further upside move, then a continuation from the newly created supply, and now we have London that has gone down and this has gone up, but I wouldn't say this is necessarily, that risk on situation. We'll see. It might be. I mean, like I said, I need to have a look at what's going on with the headline risk and stuff. I really haven't been following up. Literally, like I didn't even have Starlink up until Saturday night. So I was just like totally out of it, like in the middle of nowhere with no access to civilization and news. Because my phone didn't work, my husband's phone didn't work, we had no internet, like nothing. It was literally just like... so I need to investigate. I do need to investigate. I still would have preferred if these 3 candles continued in with the same idea. So down, down, up, or up, up, down. But even so, I just don't think to 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Yeah, that's not correlated. To me, that's not correlated enough to be called a risk on day. And also, what would be, like, chat, help me out here, right? So you've been here, you've been trading. What did we have happen that would cause risk on sentiment? Now, it's not a question for like, hey, let's see what risk on sentiment is. No, I'm genuinely asking you. It's like, what do we have news-wise that could be impacting everything across the board? Usually, hint, hint, is something to do with the wars or... and, it's rare to see it with the political stuff, with the monetary policy stuff. It's usually caused by war-related things, either a ceasefire or new conflicts or, breakdown of conflict, of the truce or whatever. So you're looking for something like that. So do let me know. Mike Koza says, hey Dee, how did your life change since you became rich and famous? So here's the thing. My dad was rich and famous, right? He was a big Yugoslavian folk star because he was in a folk rock parody band. They were massive. And, I kind of went down the path of music and I actually had a part of that because I got into this band when I was 17, and then it was already an established band. It was kind of the Allman Brothers band, if you're a little bit older. Everybody played in that band at one point, and they were already established, so I got in there, and suddenly we started getting recognized, and I actually still have moments where I go back after all of this time, I go back to Belgrade, and people will be like, saxophone? And I'm like, yeah. So, I had a bit of that. And here's the thing. Any sort of fame, it happens outside of you. Okay? It doesn't happen inside of you. You don't suddenly go, oh, everybody knows who I am. It doesn't happen that way. It's mostly people outside of you who start to either behave differently or they start noticing you more. So it's a bit of a weird thing. But here's the thing. this move has nothing to do with what I'm doing right now. We planned this move 5 years ago. Yes, I've been involved with Topstep, but we didn't have TopstepTV until a couple of years back. So I have a very small existence, right? I'm a homebody. I don't really go out much because I don't enjoy it. B, I have a chronic illness, and C, I don't know, when you get to to a certain age, you tend to value quality of friends over quantity. At least I do. So right now, the only people around me are the people that I've known for a very long time, the people who are sort of on the same similar path. They're kind of small business owners, or they're contractors, or they have similar goals in life. I honestly got really tired of hanging out, and I'm sorry to say this, but a lot of musicians are very lost. Okay, very lost. Very few of them have things figured out in life. And then some of us move on to nicer things and bigger things, and we have ideas of what to do, but a lot of them are still stuck. Not everybody. There was a guitarist that I worked with as a part of the Rod Stewart band, who went on to become exquisitely successful because he was working on Ed Sheeran's album, and then both him and Jake, who is a producer, they became widely successful. So you do have people like that, but for the most part, musicians just live this existence where they don't really know how to properly monetize on their talent, and their life is all about struggle. I did not like struggle ever in life. And my father, being, a pretty well-off person, I believe he kind of set some beliefs in me that were positive about money that I was able to develop over time. It didn't come overnight because I was a bit pig-headed, so I didn't listen for a long time. And I actually do wish that I started everything that I'm doing now, even on the music side, generating multiple sources of income, maybe being a little bit more open to sponsorships. I literally didn't take a single sponsorship or an endorsement as a musician. It was so stupid. It's yeah, I just do gigs and that's my thing. Just stop. So, when you're young, you have one outlook. However, I did pretty well. Did my life change much since TopstepTV? No, not really. I still do the same thing. I do the daily streams, I still trade. So yeah. Interesting question, but no, nothing's changed. It's actually the same, just in a slightly more spacious environment. That's about it. Jacob says, how does someone know if you got accepted to the VIP program? By email, text, phone call? No, so they will be posting it on the socials. And last time you can go through their Instagram and Twitter, and you will see they literally announced who the winners were. And then they had them snapshotted, and they kept announcing it and putting it on social. So it will be there, but keep an eye out on Topstep Instagram or Twitter. That's where you will find out if you got accepted. Okay, did that one. Let's move on. What's the time? How are we doing for time? If I can find it. Okay, we're good. Daniel says, thank you for being such a blessing to many people around you. Oh, thank you. That's very, very kind. And he says, love your streams, always learning something amazing from you. That's exactly why we do things, Many of us who do this job for a while, especially after COVID, we became a bit sort of like hermity, right? Hermit lady number one over here. And by the fact that we can do daily live streams, and the fact that I have my top steppers, I can get on the main broadcast 2-3 times a week, and we can hang, and it's first of all, I love everybody. I love obviously the OGs, Hogue, Eddie, Michael, and then some of the people who are newer to Topstep from my perspective, because I have been with Topstep for in some capacity or another for over 10 years. We have Jay, we have Dakota, we have Anne-Marie, so many amazing people, Coach Robert, Hoop, it's they're all just lovely people who are also not afraid of success, okay? That is a very important distinction for me at this point in my life, to not have somebody who can't afford groceries or something and they're pushing 45. It's what are you doing with your life, You have to wonder. And it's definitely true Definitely true that you are who you surround yourself with. So I got into a situation where we had to be careful which restaurants we're going to go to, like about 10 years ago, because, me and my husband were generally we're not like, Warren Buffett sort of level, but we're very comfortable, right? So I don't always think about, oh yeah, which restaurant can this person come to, and it's not going to be too expensive for them. You're almost like walking on eggshells with people, and then over time that just started to annoy me. I'm like, why would I need to, diminish my life experience because somebody else can't be bothered to do the same for them? So, at this point, I'm pretty unapologetic about that. And I like creature comforts, right? I like my gadgets. But look, I don't buy sports cards, where the dog's going to go. I have a Mini Cooper S, it's not, McLaren or anything. And to me, it's about being comfortable in life. It's not necessarily about hoarding money. It's about being comfortable. And I think I'm pretty successful at that. Ajaz, my Starlink speed, so I have 240 down and 24 up. Like really decent stuff, right? I have not had any problems with it. It's just like pretty smooth. And since we could, I have to tell this story. So see, my husband is also a computer guy, right? He's worked in banking for forever, and then now he's kind of semi-retired. He does a few things here and there, but most of the time he is pottering around the house. Yeah, still doing some coding and a few projects here and there, but he spends a lot of time being the nerd or having his own little DIY projects. So we got the Starlink, right? So it actually arrived here on Friday, but we were just so tired. So it's like, okay, we're going to leave it until Saturday. And it comes with this dish, right? It's a square, flat piece of machinery, right? It's like a satellite dish, but it's flat. And every single YouTube video that I watched on how to connect it, the first step was to go outside, get into the app, log in, and then let it scan the sky. So apparently my husband decided not to do that. So he put it in the kitchen, and we have a rubber roof here as well. It's a flat rubber roof. It's beautiful, but not the best for reception and stuff. You're supposed to have the satellite dish on the roof, right? So anyways, he has it in the kitchen. It's like pumping out an enormous amount of heat. The sofa is getting to a point where it's a fire hazard. And the Starlink is not connecting, right? And my husband is sitting there, super stressed out. Anyways, he stayed up till 5 a.m. I went to bed early. So I get up in the morning. He's in a mood, right? He's annoyed. He's angry. And I was like, what? You're right. What's happening? He's like, I can't get this set up. And then he went into WAN connections. He was looking at the little switches and stuff. Defaulted straight to the full nerd network problem with the hardware and stuff. And now I'm geeky, right? I'm a geek, right? But I'm not. Whenever there's a problem with any piece of software or hardware, I will first try the simplest things, turning it on and off and putting the step 1 of the described thing. So I went outside to get the reception. So I was basically in my garage, and I watched loads of different videos, and everybody said you have to let it scan the sky via the mobile app. So it's okay, I can see a problem with that if you don't have any connection, because how are you going to get into the app? So I'm not sure what Starlink was thinking there. But anyways, that's another problem. So after about half an hour and watching every single video that said the same thing, I go inside and I say, okay, so here's the thing. You're defaulting to all of these network issues, cable issues. Is it the hardware? Is it the cable? Is the connection not working? And I said, why don't we just try to go outside? I'll give you a mobile hotspot. I'm going to go down to the garden. I'll give you a mobile hotspot. Let's just, put it up to the sky and actually let it do the step 1. And I kid you not, we did that as soon as as soon as it connected. So my husband lost about 7 hours taking around with potential hardware issues that wasn't there. It was actually very, very straightforward. So yeah, it was really funny. And then we both laughed, and then we hugged, and then we came inside and we were like, yay, we're back in civilization mode. But yeah, Ajaz, I don't know where you were, because I know you're in Surrey as well, aren't you? But yeah, if you're thinking about getting Starlink, we got the HP version, so you get like the priority stuff. It's like a business version. It's brilliant. It's like I don't know why you would go anywhere else. If you have a problem with the slow, broadband speeds, because a lot of these kind of like, oh, it's a fiber, BT fiber. They don't change the bloody copper things inside the house. They need to change the actual box in the house. Otherwise, it's still going to give you the same speed. I actually spoke to a friend who is a systems engineer. She's a lovely Swedish woman, very knowledgeable. Obviously, that's her job. And she said, yeah, if they don't change the box inside the house, that's still the same technology. So it doesn't matter what you're receiving. Your broadband speed is going to be crap, right? But yeah, if you're thinking about getting Starlink, I highly recommend it. It's brilliant. Ajaz, it was literally like that. It's like he's like raging for 7 hours, and I'm like, have you tried turning it off and on again? Like I'm being that annoying IT person. Justin, it is a trading channel, but again, I'm waiting for setup. What do you want me to do? Just click buttons? No, that's what you do. I look for understanding first, and at the moment we're trying to get a good understanding what copper is trying to do. Right now we have conflicting information. That means sit and wait, and then we chat about a whole bunch of stuff. This time it happens to be Starlink, right? So here's the thing. We're still sitting above GEX. In order for my hypo 2, which is what I'm waiting for to work out, weakness inside IB, I really need to see a committed selling activity either from VWAP or below GEX. We're neither, right? This is where I'm known as Market Stalker D, right? I sit and wait for my levels, and most times I will not get involved in a subpar setup. That means I sit here and talk to you for 90 minutes, and if you don't like it, there's other channels, okay? But I ain't clicking buttons for shit setups just because some guy named Justin told me to on the internet, okay? Trader Dad said, thankfully I'm with, Epsom, yeah, okay, so you'll be connected. No, we're really far out. We're even outside of Cranley here, yeah? You got Virgin Fiber. We had Community Fiber in London, but there's nothing here. And they say that it's going to come maybe in a year, but yeah. Yeah, Mike says I had fiber box changed inside the house. Oh, Justin, okay, it was a joke. Look, I mean, sarcasm doesn't translate very well in text. I found that out the hard way because I'm pretty sarcastic myself, but yeah. Sometimes we get trolls, I don't know which one, and if something seems a little bit sketchy, I would just call people out. Like, I'm not gonna sit and take abuse. But yeah, Justin, I know that you've been here before, so yeah. Joke received. Okay. Yeah, still waiting. Like we had a 30-minute chart that did not have a lot of volume as well. So let's go and change this from 1 hour to 30-minute. Then we can get a bit more resolution. So yeah, didn't manage to make a higher high. Doesn't mean that it won't. Sometimes copper is pretty quiet, and then 11 o'clock comes, which is going to be in about half an hour, and it's like whoosh. So I don't know, maybe today, because it's Monday, because we're talking about the bell curve of trading activity, not kind of doing a million trades as soon as you sit down on a Monday, Globex open, and you're like, smash, and you're, oh, I'm 3K down now. That affects people's mindset, right? So I try never to do that. If I have a bad day on Monday, I try to keep it reasonably controlled. And, 300 to 700, that's easy to get out of. depending on obviously the size. If you're trading 2 lots, then probably go up to 1,500. Wouldn't be too difficult of a hole to drag yourself out of. But it also depends on your self-limiting beliefs and what is a big amount of loss for you. That's different for everyone. Somebody is like, oh my god, I'm down 500, so much money. But somebody else will be like, I'm down 10 grand, it's nothing. Hogue worked with people who are like, oh, I was down $500,000 today. No biggie, we'll get back tomorrow. So everybody has a different sort of monetary pain points. Let's call it that way. Yeah, I'm still waiting for some bears to go. So for bears to turn up. So yeah, I'm looking at shorts potentially from Weeb, but I need a committed price action to go along with my Weeb setup. The cows might be back. I can hear the dogs. They're like, hey, what's outside? Verti's asking, did you guys build your new place? Hell no. I tried doing that a few years ago. Not building the full place, but we had another place that we had to sort of make a lot of changes. It was like an older house. And then COVID hit and we just couldn't get the supplies. It was just like horrendous. So we sort of patched it up. It's still there. It's like a rental now, but I have no desire to build the house from scratch because that would probably kill me at one point. I don't know whether you guys watch Grand Designs, but you always had people doing very interesting projects, massive houses, right? And they would be going, you say never move house, change a job, and get a child. And yet every single person in there, it's exactly what they did. The wives got pregnant like 3 times over the 5 years that they were building a bloody place. They were living in trailers whilst the main house was built. It's just a nightmare. So no, this house was a newly built house in 2018. Very modern. And it's kind of like, I'm joking that it's just one big shed because it's got wooden cladding on the outside and it's beautiful. But it's a flat roof. It's effectively just a massive garden room. It's perfect. So yeah. Vital says, hi, did you look at other markets to check if somebody's spread trading or hedging your own? So here's the thing. I did have a hedge just generally on the index because I hold some stocks that I've held for a long time and I didn't want to sell. Like, for example, Palantir I've held since $9. I'm not selling that, right? But I was worried when everything started to go wrong with the tariffs. I was like, so I did have some protective puts for a time in order to, just protect myself from the downside. And that's what long puts are for. They're protection, they're downside protection. So I'm not a big options trader at all. I know Dakota does like spreads and this and that. And I know a lot about them, but I'm just not, like, I've never really gotten that deep into it. I know what they're used for. I know how to do it, and I have done it before. I just prefer outright futures trading. I don't know. To me, it's a bigger puzzle, I suppose. But I will do options if I'm protecting, like, longer term portfolios and stuff. So yeah. Electrician wants to know, is making 1.5% a week realistic? That will depend. That will depend on the initial capital you've got. The smaller the account, the more likelihood of higher returns. Obviously, hedge funds with multi-billions, they aim for very low returns that are steady, right? So they will be aiming between 3 and 7%, 7% being on a very high performance scale. Prop accounts are different. They give you, prop firms give you leverage and you can be more aggressive. Why? Because the prop firm takes the loss. So you mitigate the risk to yourself and you effectively have to weigh the pros and cons. Like, for example, I actually use quite a lot of risk compared to what I use on my other account. I normally on large accounts, I will use 0.35% per position as risk. And then over time, that sort of ends up being more like hedge fundy type returns, 4 to 8% a month. But on prop, like for example, last month, so I started obviously with 350Ks. I think by the end of the month, it was like, I don't know, about 24 to 24K for the month. I don't know, somewhere around there, 24 to 29. That's a lot of, a lot of return for effectively an account that started as, let's say, so 4, 9. Yeah, so you're effectively starting with about like 13, 14K, and you managed to double that. So 100%. That's a big return. Like, am I going to keep that risk as the accounts grow? Hell no. Because the risk of ruin is so high. It's so high. So you have to have a maybe different outlook the more the account grows. Like right now I'm using, maybe 3 to 4% per trade. But as the accounts grow, I will get that down to like 2 to 3% per day. Okay, that becomes a lot more palatable. And for me, for prop, that's where I stay. The risk of ruin is still going to be higher because, on days when it doesn't go well and maybe you lose control, and the less in control of your emotions you are, the more likely that's going to happen. I think I can stay reasonably controlled on most days. And, I had a bit of an issue where I keep flipping between micros and minis. And then, just full transparency here, I actually lost one of my XFAs that was that had a mistake already. So here's what happened. So I'm now left with 2, which is fine. And the other one wasn't, it wasn't the main one. So I always have one main one and 2 kind of slightly different ones. I don't copy trades. I have different risk parameters for them, and sometimes even different products. So sometimes I'll be trading YM, other times. So here's what happened. I was trading micros on that one. So I'm like, okay, let's do micros. But on the ones that I've already taken, 2 payouts from, and, they had higher balances, I was trading minis. But because of the streams, I only want to have one dome on there where I'm just like, okay, this is now mini, and I completely forgot. So I had the chart on the mini, and I was trading 5 micros. So D went into 5 minis. And guess what happened? So immediate hole, right? So unfortunately, I lost that one because of the Muppet moment. In the perfect world, I would have my domes all dotted out on different screens, but obviously it is what it is. It's totally my fault. Nobody else's fault. This person here. We still have 2, they're doing all right. One is up at 9 grand. The other one is like 6.5. And that's after 2 payouts that I've taken. So I've taken 9 grand and I'm still working with a decent amount left. So I didn't take 50%. I took 20 to 30%. And then last Thursday, this is my main one. After the payout, I ran up the balance back up to 9 grand. So, but if I go here, you will see this is just for this month. Here we go. So that's 13K. So lower balance is because of payouts. So there you go. Full transparency, guys. Full transparency. Can we scale beyond the maximum lot size on live accounts? Okay, so that is at the discretion of the risk team. Okay, that will be entirely. Let me just focus on this for a second because I do want to go down to 2-minute chart, and now we're going to look at point of control. For now, we're still pretty range bound. There's not much volume, not much change. And here's the thing. I'm going to leave this visible volume range like this. This is a 2-minute chart. And we're going to see what happens with volume point of control, which is this red line. If they move it down, and, we obviously go below GEX1, which is this 465 evens line, that would be more conducive to my weeb setup. The short in and around GX1 from VWAP and VWAP. It's a whole zone. If they keep moving up the volume POC, I will be less inclined to take it because it means the volume point of control is shifting higher. Okay, that is how I decide. And then I have this ribbon that helps me visually to understand how the price is either rejecting the level or not. But at the moment we have a consolidation. So we have, if you want to do Wyckoff, we have markup, we have distribution, which is on larger time frames usually followed by liquidation. Now this is a 2-minute chart, so not as much trading activity, therefore those probabilities fade quite significantly, and therefore you need extra things. In my case, it's looking at the developing volume POC as a measure of how well they're doing, right? So let's have a look at the scaling beyond the maximum lot size. It is effectively negotiable with the risk team, depending on your performance, depending on how responsive you were working with them. Something that they don't like to see is, for example, you going into a drawdown, then calling them up and going, hey, Brett, can I have a bigger daily loss limit? So you're just going to get no, goodbye. Not quite that, that short, but they would be like, yeah, probably not the best idea. You haven't been doing the performance so well. But let's say you're doing well and you like smashed it for like a month, and you call up and you say, hey, is there any chance I can go from 3,000 to 3,500 daily loss limit? And they go, yeah, sure, no problem. What about the lot size? Can I maybe go from, because you can do maximum lot size when you're working with a risk team on the live side. I don't know whether you know that. So basically, if you decide that your maximum lot size should be, let's say 3, you can never go over 3 because the system is just going to cap you automatically. In the XFAs, you don't have that. It's just like, no, you have trade limits, you have a whole bunch of other limits, but it is at the discretion of the people in the XFA to control their size. At the funded level, you actually have, like, let's say you have a problem full porting it, right? You go in, you don't respect your maximum default size, and you're constantly getting yourself into trouble. You can call up the risk team and say, hey, cap me at 3 contracts, and they will do it, okay? All right, so now what's happening is that we are moving higher, but look at the volume POC, it's flat. So it's nothing, it's still a consolidation. We're not doing anything. Pause off the mouse, step away from the keyboard. We still wait. If they move higher, I will then default to some of my other hypos. But at the moment, nothing to do. You can see on time and sales, some buyers are trying, but they're small. They're small dudes and dudettes. And again, pop higher, volume POC, static. So we still wait. Okay, Fundamental says, let me guess, based on your background, Garden, you live in the northwest London. No, I actually live on the edge of Surrey and West Sussex now. I used to live in southwest London, but you could never see outside my windows because the houses were all tiny and it was a 2-bedroom terrace house. On a quiet road, like it was a beautiful house. It was a nice Victorian property, but too small for our purposes. So right now, actually, I don't know whether I can connect it to so many things, but you know what? I'm going to do a tour at some point because I know a lot of you are asking me for a tour, but it's absolutely amazing. Vlad is asking, can I ask the risk team to decrease risk per day? And yes, Vlad, I can read Cyrillic because I'm Serbian. Yes, you can literally do anything that you want. So as long as they're cool with it, they will be more likely in favor of you decreasing risk than increasing risk, okay? But yeah, let me just see if I can maybe somehow angle it. There's crap everywhere, by the way. It's like, so I'm also wearing PJs, so do forgive me. Oh, how can I somehow maybe angle this? See, if I unplug this, you know what? Well, let's do a tour another day because it's very complex. is very complicated because I'm like literally hooked up to a whole bunch of stuff here to make sure everything's running smooth. But yes, risk team would definitely be a lot more in favor of you decreasing risk than increasing risk. So yeah, very, very flexible all around. What's my IG? So I do have an Instagram under my business name Market Stalkers, and I have my dog's Instagram, but I don't really post all that much there. Yeah, and Instagram is not my main platform, YouTube is. I am somebody who's almost 45 and I can't be bothered with social media everywhere. See, the way I'm looking at things, when I was younger, we had MySpace. Then we had Facebook. Then we had Twitter. Then we had Instagram. Then we had, TikTok and and that other thing, Snapchat. Yeah. So I'm like, how many bloody social networks do you want to have? And at some point, I just lost all interest in new social medias. It's probably not the right call, but I just can't keep up. It's like social media overload. I don't actually like being on my phone that much. I don't sit and scroll. Like, here's something that really does my head in. Scrolling through reels. Such an effing waste of time, guys. It's just, no, absolutely no. I feel like it plays into your instant gratification. That's not a good thing for trading. And if you're just, how some people go, oh, I ended up on YouTube Shorts and here I am like, 3 hours later watching some video of somebody dancing at somebody's funeral. Like, how did I get here? What is happening? So you lose yourself in this tunnel of weirdness and, short videos. I despise that. Absolutely despise it. And I think, so electrician says point of control breached. We don't breach the point of control. Point of control is a measure of up or down. It's not a level like VWAP where we go above it and reclaim it. It is a level that is going to show you the change in sentiment either up or down, but it's not a level to play things off of. So actually point of control just moved down. Why? Because we're building, what is point of control? The widest point of the profile, in this case, visible range profile. With this move, you would expect it to move higher, right? But it just moved down. So we'll see what happens. Volume takes in volume and price, okay? To calculate what they're actually trying to do with it. And to me, this is still not exactly increasing in volume all that much. And again, pop up. Is this just a liquidity grab? We'll see. I still say this is too slow. And I don't like the fact of, like, if we look at the larger time frame, right? So let me just leave this where it is so I don't mess it up. But if we look at a 30-minute time frame composition, where are we in the market structure? You remember Anne-Marie last week, we were talking about market structure. What do we have up here? We have supplies. Look at it. There's just like one massive whipsaw. And we haven't been able to go above it. Is it structurally a good idea to look for longs into this area before it breaks? I don't think so. I think longs, I should be looking for longs where we came from, right? So that would mean some sort of rotation first. And really, this is just like ambling around. I don't know what they're trying to do here. But yeah, it could go long. But right now, it's so many conflicting things. We're at the swing extreme. We're about to, like, did we hit VWAP? I think we went above VWAP. Volume is not committal. Like, it's always worrying when you have like, oh yeah, failed auction, but there's no volume. It's like, what? And generally for me, I don't like that. And then volume POC is just staying there. It's like, hello. And then it moved down. Why? Because the volume is meh. So I'm guessing this is just like them looking for liquidity, right? This is how I'm looking at it. So they're just going, where can we sell? Is it this area? No. Okay. What about if we go up to the next area? What do we have there? Do we have enough juice there? Probably not. Okay, let's see if we can go back up to the old supply in and around VWAP, and let's see what happens. So for this purpose, I'm not actually going to stay on a 2-minute chart. I just want to see what's going on with the volume profile POC. And right now, they've moved ever so slightly below, right? That's not what I want to see if I'm going to get involved in a long. I want the volume POC for the visible range profile to keep moving higher with the price. If it's moving lower, it means price is moving, but volume ain't following exactly. And I mean, we would need a lot of volume. Like the one that they ran up here earlier in this area here, it had a lot more volume. And now we're just like, well, we've gone up, but we don't know what to do here. So I'm going to wait. Yeah. That's how you use the volume POC. You don't use it as a level. You use it as a measure of how well the move is progressing volume and price wise. Okay, it's a totally different thing than pure price or pure volume. That's why I like it. Right, do I trade gold? Sometimes. I've got to be honest, Jenish, I haven't really traded gold much in the last 12 months. I've been focusing on copper, natural gas, and gasoline futures. I did one crude oil trade about 2-3 weeks ago, and it did work, but I'm still unsure of I'm still unsure of what's going on with crude oil in general. All right, so some sellers have stepped back in. Do you know what? I'm going to try, again, I'm going to start slow. So let's just do a little micro copper. And I'm going to try not hit the wrong thing here. Because this is, again, selling for me. If we reclaim Globex VWAP, then we've got a short on. Let's not use the main XFA. Why don't we use this one? Because this one has a less of a balance. It needs a bit of love because I haven't traded it as much. But yeah, let's see what happens here. Just need to keep an eye out. Did I have the other chart? There it is. Okay. Let's go. So maybe we have a setup. Let's see. Now we look for microstructure changes, right? Right now it's still kind of pushing, but I know that there is a supply coming up. We have VWAP. We have a bunch of things that can cause a wrench in the works here. And let me just see what that all looks like on higher time frames. Yeah, I mean, a 4-hour chart looks very range bound to me. It looks like they've just established that big whipsaw high that we had a while back. You can't see it here. But yeah, I would be in favor of fading this. And the whole structure on the daily is kind of looking short to me. You know, we had a very strong move down, ran it back up, made a supply, 2 new lower lows. So here's what I'm looking at. These screens are so annoying. We'll get there. We'll get there. We drag it over. We're stuck. Okay, hold on. Because I've got it like in like really weird areas. So I just literally did that so I can work today. Here we go. So this looks short to me, right? Big move down, up, create a new supply with a lower high, go down, another supply. We're now reacting between the immediate supplies and demands. So this is why this jump was happening. But I don't, like if this is a true, this is another lower low. You know, just structurally it looks very short to me on large time frames. And here's where we are, right? So we're bouncing from this area. This is all intraday nonsense. if we're looking at a structure, what should happen here, we have another localized supply that was reactive. That's where that spike came from. We still haven't been able to go over that spike in glowbacks this week. So I think shorts might be on, but we do need to break through some of these areas. So VWAP, first point of interest, then GEX1. Failing that, we do have, so let's talk about options levels. Failing that, we have a gamma wall and core resistance at 470. And then a whole bunch of levels around it. GEX5 at 71, HVL and some put supports as well at 469, and then another GEX2 level at 468. If we get up there, usually that many levels so close together, they cause chop. Okay, because they try to go, they run into another one. They try to go, so yeah, if we get up above 468, I still wouldn't be looking for a breakout trade because this looks terrible for breakouts. So yeah. But yeah, Janish, I haven't traded gold primarily because I think it's a bit spiky, very single directional. And then when it decides to turn around, it just smacks everybody across the face and falls like, 500 ticks. And then carries on bleeding higher, slowly trickling into a nice zombie rally. So I don't like it because it has candles that are like 130 ticks wide sometimes. Actually, most days for the last 3-4 months. So I've been sticking away from gold because I don't like the price action, I don't like the ATR size of the candles, and I also hate it when I'm looking at a chart and it's all just inside bars everywhere and no smooth movements. It's like, how many inside bars do you want to have, mate? Right, I'm going to try a micro, so I'm going to do another chart here, and that might change our volume point control because the visible range is going to change. But let's go back here. Okay, MHG starting slow on a Monday on this account. These are all old from last week. So let's try 3 micros. Let me just double check. 3 micros. Some sellers are stepping in, not too much, but let's give this a go. I am going to use a nice wide 60 tick stop to give it a lot of room to do whatever it needs to do and to go above that 68 area where we have some chop. So obviously if we get bounce from VWAP and we carry on higher, that's a different trade. And I'm okay with losing $225, but if I can step in front of it, if we're already in a drawdown and this just doesn't have any traction over the next sort of 15 minutes, I can pull it off. Sometimes I don't get a chance to, so you still have to control it pretty well. Via the maximum default size, maximum risk per trade, and I've designated $350 risk for trade for this time. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah. Is price typically attracted to the volume POC? Yes, as the so it actually works better as a target more than an entry point. I actually am not a huge fan of initiating trades around POC, especially if it's like TPO on a larger time frame, purely because of what it is, right? It's the area where most people found it a fair price. Okay, it's like the ultimate middle of the middle. So for me, mostly it's a target, but if I'm using it in this way, I'm not using it as a level. I'm using it as a reference point of how well the move is going. And then if, like, for example, if they ran it up and the volume POC went down. So, if you were just looking at the price, you would be like, oh my God, this is amazing. Let's go in, break out. Yeah. And yet the volume POC, as you've seen on the stream, it didn't go up. It actually fell a few ticks. So I'm like, oh, okay. It's not a breakout to go with that. It's to go against it. So yeah, different uses. Yeah. Oh, my sister is there. Okay, morning, morning, morning. Yes, we are in a new place. A little bit of a snag with a computer, but we'll live. Cedric says, are we eligible to 150k live starting balance if we only hold 150k? Yes. So the most amount of transfer, regardless of the number of XFAs that you have, is capped to the size of the XFA of the now I can't quite remember how they said it about 50Ks, 150Ks. Like, do they cap it at 50K? I do need to familiarize myself, obviously, but again, with the move, I've had like so much stuff on. Yeah, but if you, like, let's say if you have 3 XFAs and you get to 150K across all 3 of them, that will be your starting balance. If you just have 1 and you also get to 150K in that 1 XFA, you start with 150. So it's capped regardless of the amount of XFAs that you have, okay? Ben says, hate trading after big moves, I need structure. And then sad face. So we wait for structure. Like, I don't really see a problem with that. We don't, again, here's with some breathing and not feeling like a FOMO moment, right? So it's like, you don't have structure, you wait for it. You know? We breathe and we just go, okay, this is all good. And of course, typical. I get to 11 o'clock and, you know, I get my level, things start moving a little bit more. And it's like, come on, really? Where were you? Hopefully we get DAX this year, hopefully. Now, unfortunately, I can't drag out any links for you because we are on a different computer, and I would have to jump through some hoops before I can get to the links. But yeah, you can find us on Topstep Discord. That's Discord/Topstep. Yeah, I can't give you the casting call for him because that's a little bit too complex of a link. But anyways, yeah, I'm going to see what happens with this trade. It's still weeb. It's still, you know, the same hypo that we wrote earlier. Point control should be your guide if you're doing it this way. So if you're entering the trades using volume and price, and okay, so here we go, a little bit more movement here. Maybe I can hang for a few more minutes just to see what they want to do with this. We have gone below VWAP now. How much does it take in micro copper? It's $1.25. So it's the 10th of the size of the mini, which is $12.50. So it's, you know, it's pretty affordable. You can trade 1 micro and use a 60 tick stop. It's still very affordable, you know. Not financial advice, by the way. Bruno put a disclaimer. I am Series 3 qualified, but I'm not a CTA. So still not financial advice. But yeah, let's maybe spend another like couple of minutes to see what they want to do with it. Then if they whip it back up above VWAP and end the 30 minutes, I'm not going to be here probably at that point, but if they end the 30 minutes above VWAP, this trade is invalid, okay? So would you leave this position open and go about your day? Yeah, generally yes, but I do have day trading time zones that I work on. So for example, I don't like trading into the post-NY cut, which is 3 p.m. my time, 9 a.m. Central. In some of my other platforms, I actually have a script that cuts off all positions around about that time and basically either books profit or cuts the loss. But if I get some traction from here, like for example, let's say that they go back below VWAP, below GEX1, and below initial balance in the next sort of hour, and I have quite a lot of space from my entry as we're entering the COMEX session, which is considered the main session for this product, even though it moves in London quite a bit, I would just leave it. Like literally, I've ran some trades. You can see I think even on this account, the balances are quite fierce. So let's see, 87 minutes. Can you see that? Yeah. 87-minute average balance. I mean, the trade duration and between the trade and the losses. Yeah, what's the duration of the balance between the wins and losses? 84 minutes for the win duration and average loss 70. for with average trade at 80. And the other one I think is even worse. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, 94, 65, but still 78. So yeah, it's all pretty similar. Yeah, but let's spend some time on this this account to give it a little bit of love. Little bit of love. But yeah, it depends. You know, it depends where we are as well. Are we in a supply or a demand on a big time frame? Do I have everything else lining up that might speak to the same trading idea? But remember, this is intraday. And we could have a situation where, for example, London goes up, up, and up, and then we get to COMEX and they just decide, yeah, we're a little bit too far out. Let's just adjust inventory. And then it smashes like 400 ticks against in the other direction. Not every day. Copper is pretty directional. So on most days, if it decides on a move via the extension of the initial balance early in London and then stays there, that's your direction for most of the day. So I'm not really in favor of doing too many pullbacks. Sometimes I do, but again, it would be very case by case, depending on where's VWAP, you know, what have we done at VWAP? Did we even touch it? Where is the value area? Are we inside it, outside it? How far away? What did the price try to do? Did it touch value area, or did it just go into yet another move away from it? You know, what time frame did that happen in? I'm big on time, right? I work in chunks of sort of like 90 minutes to 2 hour zones, and then I have a big break, and then I come back again. And I have about 3 or 4 of those throughout the day in different sessions. So yeah. What are the VWAP settings? I'm just using the Globex VWAP. So it is automatically anchored to Globex Open. And I prefer that VWAP because for the way I trade, that carries a bit more weight. It's a bit of a longer time frame. There's more trading information in it. And I only find session specific VWAP useful if we are in a range bound day, and then I use it as a target. Otherwise, you will always see me do Globex VWAP. All right, so I'm going to finish it up here. I mean, it's still sitting in my entry. We could sit here and talk all day long. If you want to see, maybe if you're interested in the outcome of this trade, maybe join me on Twitter. I have the links down below. Obviously, a few photos that I've posted when we moved in. So you will find those on Twitter too. You can also join me on Instagram, but just be careful that I'm not really a huge fan of posting on multiple platforms. And I'm not super active, even though I probably posted more this weekend than I did in a long time. But yeah, let's see what happens. Maybe I can update you guys whether I kept it open or closed it. Whether I maybe flip the other direction so we can have a chat on Twitter instead. You will also find my YouTube channel, my own YouTube channel link, which Topstep have kindly put below this video. If you're interested in some of the parts of what I'm doing, I have a lot of free videos. I have actually been running a YouTube channel technically since 2015, but I didn't really start posting consistently until COVID in 2020, and since then I did rack up quite a nice little library of different concepts and different issues that you guys might face, so that could be quite useful. Go check it out, and I will update you later on in the day, like I said, on Twitter, so go follow me. We will see each other again tomorrow. I will probably be on the same setup, so you know, I'll try and make this a little bit prettier maybe, but yeah, I'm going to be on a laptop plus one big screen. Luckily, this is Asus Duo, so it's got 2 screens already, so that's pretty easy. And then I've got my big HD screen on this side. So we'll make it happen, right? It'll work. Anyways, thank you so much for being here with me. This has been the Euro Trade. I'm Marcus D. Thank you for hanging with me. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.